My name is Jay Kovacs. I'm the president of the Graduate School Alumni Society, and welcome to the 2023 Graduate School Alumni Society Recognition Dinner. On a night when we recognize the academic excellence of our graduate students and the achievements of our alumni, we are delighted that you're all here to join us in this special celebration. To open the program, I have the privilege of introducing Paul Clifford, the CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association. Paul, we're honored that you're representing the Alumni Association this evening. Please come say a few words for us.
Yeah, round of applause.
Okay, so you're good here,
Yeah.
here, and there.
Good. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay, and good evening, everyone. Where else would you rather be than a room full of Penn Staters? On behalf of our more than 755,000 alumni worldwide and our more than 173,000 Alumni Association members, I want to say thank you to Dean Drager for the invitation to speak and to each of you for being here. The Penn State Alumni Association is honored to partner with the Graduate School and our constituent group, the Graduate School Alumni Society, on this special evening. Earlier today, alumni who received their doctorates 10, 25, and 50 years ago were recognized. Congratulations to all who have reached milestones on these amazing accomplishments. This evening, we are equally excited to see the fruits of the gift the Alumni Association made to the Graduate School. In 1998, we contributed $1 million to endow the Penn State Alumni Association Dissertation Awards, which recognize and reward outstanding doctoral candidates for their dissertation research. An integral part of the Alumni Association's mission is to support the university's mission of teaching, research, and service. Tonight, we will see that mission come alive as these extraordinary, talented graduate students take the stage. We have every confidence that each of them will go on to lead lives of exceptional leadership and service in their respected profession and bring honor and glory to their alma mater. Tonight, we'll also announce the Alumni Society Award recipients. The Alumni Association is proud of your professional achievements, and I offer my heartfelt congratulations on your selection for these prestigious awards. I also want to say a sincere thank you to the Graduate School Alumni Society, its board, leadership, and volunteers for everything you do for our students, for the Alumni Association, and for Penn State. Again, it's a privilege and a pleasure to share this special evening with you, our alumni, friends, and distinguished guests, and it's a special honor to learn more about what future graduate alumni will be researching in the year ahead. Thank you for all you do for the university, for the glory, and for the future. We are Penn State. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. It's now my honor to introduce Dr. Kathy Drager, Interim Vice Provost for Graduate Education and Dean of the Graduate School, who will preside over the presentations.
Thank you, Jay. Good evening, everyone. That was excellent. Good evening. Before we get started, I have just a few housekeeping announcements. First, we will be presenting awards in 3 sessions this evening. We will recognize our 4 alumni honorees, and I invite you to enjoy your salad while I make these remarks. Second, please take a moment to place your entree selection card at your table setting. Make sure it's there so our servers can easily see your meal selection. The entree cards are in your name tag badges if you haven't already found them. Dinner entrees will be served after the alumni awards are presented. I would now like to offer a special welcome to Interim Executive Vice President and Provost, Dr. Justin Schwartz, and his son, Vincent, to joining us this evening, and we're delighted that you're both with us. In addition to our alumni honorees, tonight you will have the pleasure of hearing from 10 outstanding research doctorate students who will share the importance of their research and its real-world impact. I know you will be impressed and inspired, as will I. I'd like to express my gratitude to the members of the Graduate School Alumni Society Awards Committee for their efforts in reviewing the nominations. This year's awards were very competitive, and I appreciate your efforts in helping to select the honorees. Please join me in thanking the committee for their excellent work. And now we will begin the presentation of the Alumni Awards. Dr. Schwartz will be presenting the awards as I introduce each person. And our honorees have also been invited to make some brief remarks. It is now my pleasure to introduce the recipient of the Graduate School Alumni Society Early Career Award. This award recognizes alumni who have demonstrated exceptional success in their chosen field within the first 10 years after obtaining their graduate degree. This year's award is Jennifer Nyland. Jennifer Nyland is Assistant Professor of Neural and Behavioral Sciences at Penn State's College of Medicine. Her research focuses on the intersection of pain, stress, and addiction, and is advancing our understanding of pain and addiction and their treatment in humans. After completing her doctoral degree from Penn State, Jennifer served as staff scientist at the U.S. Army Institute of Surgical Research, where she obtained a $9 million grant from the congressionally directed medical research program to study pain and develop novel pain management solutions in both an austere battlefield environment and a controlled hospital setting. Securing a large grant like this as a young scientist is indeed impressive. She also worked as a principal investigator at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, where she led a team of scientists on a project that informed policy to improve the health and well-being of U.S. Army soldiers. Jennifer returned to Penn State in 2019. Since then, she has been a productive researcher and member of the Penn State Addiction Center for Translation. Her research has been supported by the NIH, the DoD, the Pennsylvania Department of Health, American Society of Hematology, and the National Academy of Sciences. As an emerging leader, Jennifer has already demonstrated a commitment to mentoring others. She was recently appointed as the co-director of the College of Medicine Junior Faculty Development Program. She also serves as a group leader for Women in Bio Mentorship, Advisors, Peers, and Sponsorship Group, and is the chair of the Penn State Hershey Commission for Women, and is a member of Penn State's Military Appreciation Committee. In 2019, Whitaker Center in Harrisburg named Jennifer the Woman to Watch, an award that recognizes a woman younger than 40 who has significant accomplishments and success in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Jennifer, it is our honor to present you with the Graduate School Alumni Society Early Career Award. We will certainly be watching you as you continue your successful career. I invite you to say a few words.
Thank you so very much. I'm humbled and honored to even be nominated for this award. I'm also cognizant that it's April Fool's, and as someone who really dedicates himself to April Fool's jokes, I really appreciate the effort that was put into this. But kidding aside, I really appreciate this award. I'm not gonna cry because I'm about 10 years out from my PhD, and so that's the cutoff. And you know, it wasn't an easy 10 years. I know it's early in my career, but it was a bumpy road. I took a very non-traditional path, and I had my mentor, who was there every step of the way, took phone calls at any time of the day when I needed advice or just someone to listen to. So, Dr. Gregson, I appreciate your mentorship and your friendship, and for nominating me for this, and paying off whoever you had to. But then I want to also thank my family who were there for me from day one, and especially my very supportive husband, Nick, who's videoing this, and that's not awkward, who I have dragged across the country, I can't tell you how many times, in pursuit of my next endeavor. So I'm proud to be a Penn State alum, and I'm even more proud to say that I'm currently teaching. I'm a professor in the graduate programs, so I hope to give back and see one of my students up here someday. Thank you so much.
I would now like to introduce the recipient of the 2023 Humanitarian Service Award, Dr. James Bennett. Dr. Bennett, please join us at the podium for the presentation of your award. Jim Bennett began his mine safety research and advocacy as a doctoral student in vocational industrial education in the College of Education. Together with his advisor, Dr. David Passmore, now Emeritus Distinguished Professor of Education, Jim received a $5 million Department of Interior grant to study 500,000 injuries of underground coal miners, recording the incidence, severity, and cost of injuries. Jim used their findings to enhance and improve mine safety, education, and training for miners by correlating specific hazards to their respective mines and tasks. Building on his doctoral research, Jim was one of the first to recognize that industrial safety was not simply a matter of only better engineering or more effective training or increased regulations. Rather, industrial safety and loss preventions are a complex system of multiple interventions and practices that include behavioral science, fundamental management principles of leadership and stewardship, engineering, and technical components. Jim left Penn State in 1986 to become executive safety manager with Exxon in South America at the world's largest mine. During this time, he founded Loss Prevention Systems, otherwise known as LPS, a comprehensive human, behavioral, and organizational performance system that helps organizations prevent all types of losses, including fatalities, personal injuries, process safety events, environmental incidences, inefficiencies, and waste. LPS is used by more than 500,000 employees in 120 countries in the mining, petroleum, chemical, refining, construction, utility, and equipment manufacturing industries. As founder and president of LPS, Jim can be credited with saving countless lives and avoiding workplace injuries around the world. But beyond his profession, Jim is passionate about helping others realize their goals, particularly the 40,000 Hispanic immigrants in central Kentucky who are seeking to integrate into the United States. In 2011, Jim began a new chapter of his life after he felt a call to serve more. He completed a 5-year academic and practicum program to become an ordained deacon of the Roman Catholic Church. He and his wife, Dot, were active volunteers for the Lexington Diocese and at St. Mark Catholic Church in Richmond, Kentucky, where they have overseen the Hispanic outreach activity for the past 25 years. In 2016, Jim and Dot established a family foundation to support and serve the physical and mental health, educational, and social service needs of the poor and underserved Hispanic community. In 2019, Jim and Dot built the Centro de San Juan Diego, a community center in the heart of the immigrant population of Lexington. The Centro annually provides more than $1 million in medical, legal, counseling, education, and social services that are provided pro bono. A testament to the positive impact Jim has made in the lives of others, he is joined tonight by 18 members of his family, Penn State colleagues and friends and former neighbors, some of whom he met 47 years ago here in State College. Jim, I am honored to present you with the Graduate School Alumni Society Humanitarian Service Award in recognition of your service to your community and to the betterment of humanity.
Thank you. The two most important things in my life are my faith and my family, most of whom are here tonight. They're the foundation for what I think, what I say, and what I do. So in response to tonight's recognition, I'm going to connect three dots: Penn State, the loss prevention system, and the Centro de San Juan Diego in Lexington, Kentucky. And then I want to circle back to Penn State. First dot. After faith and family, the most important thing in my life was the 12 years I spent here at Penn State. 1974, not 1874, 1974, 1986. Other than the obvious classes I had to teach, short courses had to be organized, marketed, no one ever in mining engineering, mineral engineering management, or my staff position in earth and mineral sciences, nobody ever told me what to do. In many ways, that time was one of, if not the freest time of my life. Freedom of thought for research, freedom of what to teach, how to teach it, and freedom of collaboration, with other disciplines. So all these terrific things that have happened, for people around the world, I owe everything in that 12-year period to Penn State. And more specifically to Dr. Lee Saperstein, Dr. Charlie Hostler. Charlie's name's out on the building we used to call Mineral Sciences. That was my chain of command in ENMS. And on a more personal level tonight to Dr. John Kerr, Dr. Dave Gustine, and Dr. David Passmore. When I moved into this Earth and Mineral Sciences position, John Kerr was my mentor. I don't know how many of you may know him. He's an icon. John knew everybody. I knew nobody. He helped me to get to know and work with not only the departments in Earth and Mineral Sciences, but also introduced me to other colleges, College of Agriculture, Engineering, Business, Education. He was a master collaborator, and he schooled me on how to collaborate with other disciplines in an effort at that time to solve this fundamental basic safety problem because of all the people we were killing around the world on mining projects. And John not only knew everybody, but he also knew the keys to working with all these different personalities and their own personal, leadership styles. So John was and is a model of leading by example, and he's been a terrific friend, to the Bennett family. Dave Gustine, who's here tonight, neighbor, close friend of the Bennetts. By his example, Dave taught me research discipline. Do your due diligence. Turn over every rock. Be thorough. He would explain his USDA research projects to me, half of which I could not understand. But he was a terrific example of being, steadfast in research. He would leave the Penn State game against Alabama at halftime to go back and change something in the lab and come back before the third quarter started. That's dedication. David Passmore, my PhD advisor, and immediately after is my colleague, work ethic, attention to detail, persistence. Dave had a different perspective on any topic. I also remember breakfast with him at 5 a.m. and wrapping up at the computer center at midnight. And the story would not be complete without Kelly Henry, who's here tonight. She was our admin in mineral engineering, and to cut to the quick, Kelly kept me sane. Her wonderful sense of humor, efficiency, effectiveness, she took care of all these distractions that you can have in a college so that I could have the freedom of thought and the freedom to work with other disciplines. So Dr. Kerr, Dr. Gustine, Dr. Passmore, and Kelly formed me and prepared me for my life after Penn State, which was leaving, going to work for Exxon as an executive in South America, where humans had never lived in recorded history. Second bullet. That move to Exxon, right on the Colombian-Venezuelan border, the height of Pablo Escobar's business. It's where all the cocaine was exported. Armored battalion around us. That was the testing ground for the loss prevention system, which began actually here at Penn State in bits and pieces as research projects. Then you fast forward 37 years, LPS is now the world's largest, most widely used, most successful human behavioral and organizational performance system in the world. As you mentioned, there's over 500,000 people using this system in 120 countries. And we're in those countries on the ground, not electronically. LPS saves lives, prevents all kinds of injuries, protects the environment, and it improves human performance. And this is especially important in the countries we work in Africa, in the Middle East, and parts of China. LPS transforms organizations so that people have work. And what does work do? Work gives people a sense of dignity, a sense of work, of worth. So this is a seed that was planted at Penn State so that Dot, my wife, and I could take the financial benefits of LPS and help underserved immigrants over these past 25 years. The culmination being this construction of a Centro de San Juan Diego in Lexington, Kentucky. It's a community center that serves the underserved, primarily Hispanics, but also Lexington is the third largest, I don't know why, Congolese population in the United States, and we have Swahili-speaking Africans, from other nations there. The Centro offers over 50 different medical, counseling, legal services, pro bono to thousands annually. It transforms lives every day from immigrants who don't know anything except violence. They've left environments of violence and corruption, and in the U.S., they find a home and a place of hope and a dream of better life for their kids. If it weren't for God's providence in Penn State, none of this would have ever happened. So life really does go full circle. The counseling and psychology model we use for suicide prevention and trauma treatment for these immigrants was born here at Penn State in the 1960s by a husband and wife doctor team, Dr. Bernie and Louise Gurney. Bernie passed away last year. You Google his name, it'll say giant in the world in 20th century psychotherapy. God's providence, God's gift through Penn State. A marriage of love and science that brings goodness and healing across cultures and across nations. So my thanks tonight to Penn State, to the Graduate School Alumni Society, to John, Dave, David, Kelly. My wife and I are both at the same time blessed and humbled to be a part of this amazing adventure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim. We can all use more goodness and healing. It is now my honor to introduce the recipients of the Graduate School Alumni Society Lifetime Achievement Award. This award is presented to alumni who have achieved exceptional success throughout the course of their careers and have a demonstrated loyalty to the university and Penn State Alumni Association. This year, we are recognizing 2 alumni for their outstanding accomplishments, and our first recipient is Dr. Ken Graham. Ken holds 3 degrees from Penn State's Smeal College of Business. During his career, Ken has worked for 3 large corporations, Shell, Allstate, and Beatrice, and 3 large universities, Penn State, University of Texas at Austin, and the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He currently serves as Senior Leadership Advisor at Rohill Consulting Group. Ken has extensive experience working outside the United States and specializes in helping leaders from cultures around the world thrive within Western leadership paradigms. He has worked in or visited 80 countries. Ken served as head of global leadership development for Royal Dutch Shell in The Hague, where he created a leadership development program that is still in use by Shell today. He also served as Vice President for Leader Development and Group Vice President of Strategy for Allstate Insurance. In the 1980s, he was Director of Executive Development for the Beatrice Companies. In academia, Ken served as Associate Dean of Executive Education for Penn State Executive Programs, growing these programs at 35% per year for 5 years. He also built the successful Executive MBA program in Mexico City with the University of Texas at Austin and the ITESM, the leading business school in Mexico. Ken has helped companies like IBM, Intel, Dell, Dow, Hewlett-Packard, FedEx, and many others to develop effective leaders. At Penn State, Ken is a dedicated volunteer and mentor. He serves as a member of the Presidential Leadership Academy Board of Advisors in the Schreier's Honors College and as a member of the Global Advisory Council. He visits campus frequently to speak with and mentor scholars, administrators, faculty, and staff. He serves as a guest presenter to classes in the colleges of education and engineering. As a volunteer for the graduate school, Ken shares his expertise in leadership development to help shape the development of new and innovative career and professional development programs for graduate students. Ken is and will always be a Penn Stater. In addition to 3 degrees, he also earned a pilot's license from Penn State. And he married a Penn Stater. Of course, they met here at Penn State. Ken, in recognition of your professional accomplishments and service to the university, I am honored to present you with the Graduate School Alumni Society Lifetime Achievement Award. And we invite you to say a few words.
And it's on. Good evening. I got a little response too, Kathy. Yes, very nice. I'd like to cover quickly 3 things with you. First one is reflection. The second one is I have a suggestion for everyone in the room. And the third is thank you. Reflection. Have you done this? Have you thought about the impact of Penn State on your life? I have, and it really came up when I learned that this award was coming my direction. I started to think about Penn State. When you grow up in a town of 400 people in Cambria County, Pennsylvania, you need an escape plan. Penn State was my escape plan. We had a course catalog and 110 majors in those days. And of course, we killed a lot of trees, and you had the catalog. I've reflected a lot about this. Undergraduate, the first thing I noticed was people were helping me even when I didn't ask. Other students, mentoring. I'd never heard the word mentor or mentee. Didn't know it was a process, and yet it was going on. The next level was staff members before faculty. I had to get to know faculty until that finally happened. Is this happening in your life? When you reflect on Penn State's impact, if that was some time ago, we might use a little past tense. If it's going on for you now, staff members, it's present tense. And it could even be future tense for those who are about to receive their PhD awards tonight. I think it's worth reflecting, I really do. Reflection is done well in calm moments. So let's say you're driving. Reflection is really about looking in the rearview mirror. So here's how we do it. What does my life look like, right? Now, if you're from the UK, Japan, lots of other countries, Malaysia, India, etc., you simply do it this way. Think about this. It's all about mentoring. It's about what we give more so than what we get. We often end up receiving first. So here are my suggestions for you, especially for those who are about to receive the PhD award, the research award, and your guests. Allow others to mentor you, even if you didn't ask for it. I'm fairly sure that no one gets a PhD alone. Let it happen. That's number one. Number two, reach out and cultivate relationships where you're the mentee. And here's the surprise one. Please reach out and cultivate relationships where you're the mentor. And don't assume you have to be over some age bracket in order to do it. You'll learn at least as much outbound as you will inbound. So now the thanks. I thank the Alumni Board. I definitely thank the Graduate School. I thank you if you just take a moment to reflect on the impact of mentoring in your life and what you can do. And there are also some individuals I'd like to thank. You know, this is a real dilemma for me. When I first heard about an award, my brain went, I don't have a body of work. Meryl Streep has a body of work. I don't have a body of work. What I have is a resume that looks like a patchwork quilt. I once had a work colleague tell me, Ken, I think you can upgrade this. You're an experience collector. I'm going with that. Among the experiences, starting about 2015, one person in this room received a phone call from me, and at first didn't understand what I was asking to do. I wanted to come to campus once a semester and volunteer. Meet with students, meet with student groups, individuals, be a guest speaker in class, and so forth. And that was Jessica Hoffman. And she made that happen. And then she introduced me to Jen Stubbs. Introducing me to Jen Stubbs when she was in the Alumni Association led to something. I was then, as she moved to the Bank of America Career Center, I was introduced to a committee that wanted to do something about global careers. That's how I met Jennifer Tice. Jennifer Tice moves locations to the Graduate School, which is how I met Sarah Ades, and is, if you will, part of the expanding volunteering at Penn State. Is there a little seed inside you that says, I have something I'd like to share with Penn State currently? I'd like to encourage that. I'd like to say thank you to people I've named and to many people I didn't name who mentored me when I was undergraduate first, then graduate, totally clueless. Remember the movie? What was Brittany's last name? She was the clueless one that Cher and Dion did the project on. That was me. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Ken. Our second Lifetime Achievement Award honoree is Mr. Paul Solomon. Do we have him? He will make his way to this podium. Paul earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Agricultural and Biological Sciences from the College of Agricultural Sciences in 1962 and a master's degree in Regional Planning from the Graduate School in 1968. Paul spent his career in government service as a senior planner with the York County Planning Commission and later as head of the Environmental Planning Section with the Baltimore, Maryland County Office of Planning and Zoning. Following his retirement, he served for 18 years in an elected position as Shrewsbury Township Supervisor in York County, including 6 years as chair of the board. In 2008, Shrewsbury Township was awarded the prestigious Government Leadership in Land Conservation Award from We Conserve PA for its leadership and vision in the conservation of special places and landscapes. After retiring as township supervisor, Paul served for 2 years as chair of the Shrewsbury Township Planning Commission. Throughout his life, he has put Penn State education to use in restoring 8 agricultural properties in Pennsylvania and New York. Both professionally and personally, Paul has found ways to preserve the rural and agricultural character of his communities, protecting what was special about them as they grow. Paul has been involved with the volunteer programs of the university for 30 years. He remains active as a Pennsylvania Forest Steward volunteer with the James C. Finley Center for Private Forests at Penn State and a Master Watershed Steward volunteer with Penn State Extension. Paul, we are honored to present you with the Graduate School Alumni Society Lifetime Achievement Award.
Thank you, Dean. It's good to be here. A few, hopefully, short remarks are in order. It's such an honor to be here this evening and to be recognized by the university for my lifelong commitment to land conservation and stewardship. It is true that I have been passionate about my work, it seems forever. As a young child or boy in the 3rd grade, our family used to take trips into northern Cambria County, and strip mining was starting to begin at that time. And one of my favorite farms on this particular drive had been devastated. Strip mine from one end to the other, big trenches, overburdened, topsoil lost. There were no regulations at that time, but I was embittered or startled by the fact that my parents showed no emotion. And as a 3rd grader, who do I turn to? How do I stop this? Well, all I could do was worry about it, but I did care. Bear with me. As was common at the time, my parents and adults they don't seem to care, or maybe they were just oblivious to it. Even then, I found myself wondering what I could possibly do in my lifetime, or at that time, to protect the places that meant so much, not just to myself, but to the community. A bit later, as a high school student, I had an opportunity to read the classical work of fiction, The Man Who Planted Trees. It's a short book, which was published in its entirety in the Pittsburgh Press, which I read at the time, in 1954, as a short story. But it raised my awareness of how a single committed individual could make a difference in protecting and enhancing local landscapes. This particular individual, for over 40 years, went into a neglected, abandoned area where the wells and springs had dried up, and he planted trees every day, virtually every day, from acorns and other seeds. And the area came back to life, the springs came back to life, the streams came back to life, it all came back to life. This passion that I had, it was showing me how one individual, just one individual, can make a difference in his community. Ultimately, this youthful passion led to me pursuing a career as a professional municipal planner, elected township supervisor for 18 years, as was mentioned, and very rewarding years, by the way. So I had the passion. Now I needed the tools, and I got them from Penn State through a degree from the College of Agriculture, how to do things on the land, farming, and also from a degree in regional planning. So I took on my first restoration project when I was in 1957, when I was 20 years old, on my father's farm. Over the years, I restored, as mentioned, 8 properties, including 1,126 acres. The hands-on support of my sons, Justin and Annie, was also very helpful to me. So what do you do when you buy an abandoned, neglected farm that's not in very good shape? You clean up all the trash. Then you inventory it, and you do all kinds of preliminary work before you restore the land. But basically, you're battling invasive species, and critically, the runoff from stormwater is a critical component. So we had to put in conservation practices which reduced or eliminated all the runoff from that particular farm. We couldn't achieve it during heavier storms, but we did make a big difference. I'm getting there. It was very rewarding to take an abandoned, neglected farm and eventually, over a period of years, turn it into a work of art. In accepting this award tonight, I would like to express my deep appreciation to Penn State for providing me with the overall education and tools I needed to fulfill my passion. And that's what they did. Finally, at the current age of 86, now I don't look like 86, I look like a much younger person. I may walk like I'm 86, but anyways, I'm mindful of the advice of my late mother who cautioned me that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So you can't stop. You got to keep going forward with whatever you have left. And I intend to heed her advice and counsel and continue to keep myself busy with conservation and land stewardship. I'm currently working with one of my sons on a 21-acre farm, and I'm active as a Pennsylvania forage steward and as a master watershed steward with Penn State. I also hope to continue to contribute regularly to the Penn State publications, Forest Leaves and Watershed Winds, along with other conservation publications and newsletters. We get articles published. I get articles published in various magazines and newspapers and all, and I keep doing that. Last paragraph. I know you're all hungry. It's better to be first at this work. To this day, I continue to use my Penn State education and connections to help create a better world for my children, grandchildren, and community at large. For those of you who share a passion for conservation, I encourage you to take advantage of all Penn State has to offer as you look for ways to put your knowledge and values into practice. Thank you again, all involved, for this wonderful award, which I will cherish always.
Thank you, Paul. We're now going to take a break in the program. I invite you to enjoy your entree. I will then return to present the Alumni Association Dissertation Awards in a few moments. Thank you. We're going to continue with the program. Please continue to enjoy your entrees. The dessert will be served as they become available. We will now recognize the recipients of the Alumni Association Dissertation Awards. The Alumni Association Dissertation Award recognizes outstanding achievement in PhD research, scholarship, and professional accomplishment. These awards provide support for doctoral students who have passed their comprehensive examinations and received approval of their dissertation topics. Nominations are solicited from among 93 research doctorate programs at Penn State. From the pool of qualified nominations, a minimum of 2 awards of $5,000 each are made in each of the following broad disciplinary categories: arts and humanities, social and behavioral sciences, physical and computational sciences, life and health sciences, and engineering. Funds for these awards were made possible by a generous gift from the Penn State Alumni Association. 13 Alumni Association Dissertation Awards will be presented this year, and tonight we are delighted that 10 recipients have joined us. There were 3 recipients who were not able to join us: Rebecca Fleeman, Biomedical Sciences, Kaylin Yates, Ecology, and Laura Jones, Ecology. Dr. Schwartz will again be presenting the awards as I introduce each recipient. The award recipients have agreed to briefly tell us about their research. So as I call your name, would each student please join us at the podium? And after you receive your reward, we will take a photo and invite you to share remarks about your research. So our first recipient is Lauren Dennis, civil engineering with a dual title in climate science.
So first, I just want to say thank you very much. I'm very honored and deeply humbled to receive this award. And I want to thank the Penn State Alumni Association for their support of graduate students at Penn State, and the Penn State alumni community for their support of graduate students at Penn State. I also wanted to just briefly thank my advisor and all of the folks in the College of Engineering and all of my friends and family that have supported my dissertation studies. And so I defended my dissertation yesterday, so I'm a newly minted, thank you, newly minted PhD in the dual title program in civil engineering and climate science. And my interdisciplinary dissertation shows how climate-driven changes in streamflow could affect future hydropower generation within the areas of the grid where the supply and the demand of electricity are balanced. And even though hydropower only produces about 7% of the electricity generated in the US, it's critical for things that happen behind the scenes to keep the lights on. Hydropower is a flexible source of power since it can be turned on and off fairly quickly. It's a source of energy storage, and it also is key in helping the grid restart after a blackout. In the future, hydropower plants will become increasingly important when grid managers are looking for stable sources of power as they're adjusting to increased power from solar and wind. And although hydropower is very important for grid reliability, hydropower plants are vulnerable to the effects of climate change. And this is where my research comes in. Most hydropower plants rely upon streamflow, and changes in the climate will cause changes in the timing and amount of streamflow that's available for hydropower production. And because of its increasing importance in management of the grid, it's crucial that we understand how future hydropower production may be impacted by climate change, especially at the scale where the supply and demand of electricity are balanced. So this scale was underexplored in the academic literature thus far until my dissertation, and my analysis provides a complete picture for all hydropower contributing to balancing areas in the United States for the first time so that overall risk can be assessed. In my dissertation, I also interviewed organizations that produce hydropower and manage the grid to learn how they are preparing for an uncertain climate future. Learning about their challenges and needs enables us as researchers to produce research that is most useful to society. And one of the aspects that I appreciate most about Penn State is that collaborative interdisciplinary work that addresses some of the grand challenges faced by society is encouraged throughout the university. I'm incredibly grateful for that faculty and students outside of my home department have been willing to share their knowledge with me. As an engineering student, I've been welcomed into classes from geographers, physicists, hydrologists, atmospheric scientists, sociologists, and lawyers. This experience is truly a unique and undervalued characteristic of a Penn State education. A comprehensive education comprised of both deep disciplinary scholarship as well as broader learning opportunities that trains us to tackle the nuanced questions of society carefully and with consideration to the context of the problem. I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to receive that kind of training at Penn State and to incorporate it into my dissertation. And I just want to thank you again for this award. I'm truly honored to receive it, and I'm very, very grateful to have received this education at Penn State.
Congratulations, Lauren. We almost needed you earlier when the storm came through. We were good. Our next recipient is Ali Ghazvinian, Architecture.
Dr. Schwartz, please hand it to the others. I want to talk about that so they can see what it feels like. Yeah, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Penn State. Thank you, everyone. You know, we are working with the building industry, so our work is the most, you know, let's say, the worst part of our work is that we produce a lot of waste, we produce a lot of global warming, and we were thinking how we can address that, and for that we started to work with a great material, a bio-based material that is biodegradable, and that material is based on fungi. It's based on the root of fungi. We all know fungi with their fruits, the mushrooms, but that's based on the mycelium, the root of fungi. I believe now with this new series, The Last of Us, you know more about the mycelium. That's the thing that comes out of their mouth, if you watch that. So we started this 5 years ago with a team of 2 with my advisor. And then after about 3 semesters, we had a team of more than 14 people from 7 different departments, 4 different colleges. And we worked on that for now about 4 years with other students from different colleges, different departments. And it was possible only because of the culture that we have in Penn State, the culture of VR. VR? Penn State, yeah. I want to thank the openness of our university, our college, our school, our department. I want to particularly thank my precious advisor, Benay Gursoy, and at the end, I want to thank my lovely wife, Kim, and thank you all. And please give that back to Dr. Schwartz. I told him that's his. I was so excited I forgot my award.
Congratulations, Ali. Jingyang He, Materials Science and Engineering.
Hi, thank you. Hi, my name is Jingyang He. I'm a PhD student in material science and engineering. It is really a great honor to be selected for this prestigious award and for the opportunity to share my story today. I started my journey at Penn State as an undergrad in engineering science and mechanics. During that time, I had the opportunity to explore my research interest, and I found my passion in materials. So I decided to continue my graduate study in material science and engineering. I was fortunate to work on a project on growing crystals, specifically nonlinear optical crystals, which are special materials for changing the color of light, and they have a very broad range of applications. For example, in medical imaging, they can be used to create high-resolution images of biological tissues and structures, providing deeper understanding of our human bodies. Unfortunately, not many of these crystals are known, and even fewer are actually used in real applications. So my research is to design and discover new high-performance nonlinear optical crystals to tackle this challenge. And I had a very productive PhD journey in which I have found several promising crystals that are very promising for future applications. And I'm very grateful for my two advisors. One of them are filming me right now, because I won't be able to achieve all this without their guidance and help. And I want to thank the Penn State Alumni Association again for this recognition and for the opportunity to share my story. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jingyang. Emily Howerton, biology.
Thanks, everyone. It's really an honor to be here and to receive this award. Before I begin, I want to echo all of the things that the other recipients have said about collaboration and the We Are atmosphere at Penn State. And to tell you a little bit about my research, it's something that unfortunately all of us are familiar with. We all know that infectious disease outbreaks can happen really fast, and they can affect communities very deeply. So my research is all about how we make decisions and how we respond to these infectious disease threats. During my PhD, I was a member of the coordination team for the COVID-19 Scenario Modeling Hub. And over the past 2.5 years, we've provided projections to the US CDC, the White House, and other public health decision makers on what we think will happen with COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths over the next 6 months. My work in particular has been about developing new methods to make these projections more robust and reliable. And the methods that I've developed can be sort of generalized to other public health threats currently and in the future. I want to thank the Penn State Alumni Association for this award and the opportunity, as well as the Eberly College of Science Barbara McClintock Science Achievement Graduate Fellowship and the Huck Institutes of the Life Science for all of the support during my PhD. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank my advisor, Kat Shea. I would not be the person or scientist that I've become today without you. So thank you.
Our next award is for Atip Lawanprasert, bioengineering.
Hi, my name is Atip Lawanprasert. First of all, thank you very much for the honor. I'm truly humbled to receive this award. So the research that I'm doing is all about a materials called perfluorocarbons. Now, perfluorocarbon has a very unique properties, but it doesn't have that spotlight in the biomedical engineering as much as it deserved. And that's because there's just too many issues, right? Now, the thing with perfluorocarbon is that it is reacting to what we call acoustic or ultrasound stimuli. And my research comes in and trying to exploit those properties for things like drug deliveries. Now, unlike many other research that you've probably heard of today, I really hope that you don't really have to come in with my research if you are lucky enough, because it would be very useful for things like chemotherapy. And I know that someone in this room probably know a person or two that have to undergo this painful experience of treatment, right? So hopefully you don't have to encounter my technologies. And so what happened is we can use the perfluorocarbon materials such that you can deliver, you can have a medical professional, your doctors, right, to deliver the drugs, which is quite toxic, to exactly a part of your body, and it just leaves everything else unharmed. And you could imagine how good that be, right? So instead of basically killing yourself with the chemotherapies, now the only thing that's going to be unhappy about is just your cancer cells and nothing else. So that's exactly like what I'm trying to do. Of course, there's so many more things that has to be done before it's become much more practical. And there are so many more research that is being done right now. But anyhow, I would like to thank my advisor, Dr. Scott Medina, at Penn State Bioengineering. So he stayed in me. I got undergraduate degree here, and he decided that, well, I guess still worth it. He still wants me in his lab. So I'm very thankful for that every day. So all these 9 years that I work in Penn State, I'm truly grateful. I'm so proud to be here. And yeah, thank you very much.
I think we can all agree that unhappy cancer cells is a state that we want to see. Our next recipient is Flora Oswald, psychology with a dual title in women's gender and sexuality studies.
Thank you. I want to begin by thanking the Alumni Association for their support with this award. I'm honored and humbled to be here to accept this award and for all of the support that I've received during my time at Penn State. So my work focuses on understanding the experiences of people with marginalized identities. And to do that, I draw upon both feminist perspectives and the field of social vision. So I use feminist perspectives to prioritize the experiences of people with marginalized identities in my work. And I draw upon social vision to understand the basic visual processes that underlie people's social perception. So taking all of that together, my work focuses on understanding how people with marginalized identities perceive and experience their social worlds. And I'm especially interested in understanding how people look to their environment for cues of identity threat and identity safety. So how people think about whether they belong in a space and how what we're visually perceiving acts as an antecedent to those decisions about belonging. And so some of my work focuses on understanding how people with marginalized racial and gender identities perceive diversity in groups and how that actual visual perception of diversity underlies their sense of belonging or fitting in that group. And my dissertation work focuses on how people with marginalized body identities look to their environments for people with similar bodies and how that can act as a cue to threat or safety. And thanks to the support that I've received here at Penn State, I've recently accepted a position as an assistant research professor at the University of Connecticut in diversity science, where I will continue to do this work on visual perception, stigmatization, and social experiences. And so I want to thank my advisors, Dr. Jess Matzik, who couldn't be here, and Dr. Reg Adams, who is here, for supporting me throughout my time here. and I hope to carry forward the Penn State name with integrity and with excellent research. Thank you.
Next, Siddharth Vishwanath, Statistics.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you. And as a statistician, I can say that the odds of me being on stage over here and getting this award is far rarer than winning the lottery. So I want to thank the Alumni Association for their generous funding that allows us as PhD students to sort of continue and pursue a lot of these research interests that clearly are making a really meaningful impact on the world. So before I talk about my research, I just want to mention that I'm here receiving the award, but what you see on the podium over here is just the tip of the iceberg. I stand on the shoulders of many people who have bolstered me in my journey along the way. So I just want to take a moment to thank first my advisor, who's over here, who I came to in my first year at Penn State about 5.5 years ago. And I said, I want to work on this area of research. And he was like, I have no idea what this area of research is, but we can learn along the way, and we can sort of try to see where it takes us. And this is where it's brought us. I want to thank my parents, my sister, who have sort of been incredibly supportive of me throughout my journey. Both my grandparents, whom I lost in the last 2 years, who would have been very proud to see me here. And I want to thank Anne, who's sort of been my significant other, who's been the only sort of semblance of sanity in given the times that we just had to live through. So the advent of information and technology that we have witnessed in the last 10 years have given us access to modern technology that has been unprecedented, right? So much so that things like natural language processing, deep learning, artificial intelligence have now sort of become a mainstay in our parlance these days, right? You see people on news, local news, talking about these technologies. And the underlying sort of mathematical assumption in a lot of these methodologies is that the vast volumes of data that we have access to have underlying hidden patterns that we can sort of wield in order to make predictions and technology that we see on the internet these days. But being able to just develop this technology is very different from understanding and sort of really understanding and generalizing this technology to other areas of science and technology that can help others. And this is where my research sort of comes in. So I work on an area called topological data analysis, where I look at from, through the lens of statistical analysis, what are these hidden patterns that these machine learning, artificial intelligence models are trying to look at, and trying to quantify uncertainty so that we can explain how these methods are working. And this is sort of the overarching objective that I've tried to focus on for the last 6 years. And I want to thank the Alumni Association for sort of recognizing the efforts that I've made over here in this discipline. And I just want to close with a sort of cruel joke about topologists in the mathematical circle. So there's a particularly distasteful joke. What's the difference between a topologist and a large pizza? And the answer is a large pizza can feed a family of 4, while a topologist can't. And this is a sort of reference to the fact that the work that topologists focus on is so abstract and personifies the things in academia and math about being on top of this ivory tower. And I just find it very humbling that working in topological data analysis not only helps feed a family of 4, but also a very, very lavish banquet funded by the Alumni Association. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Our next recipient is Rui Wang, Architecture.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rui Wang, and I'm a PhD candidate of architecture with a focus on landscape architecture here at Penn State. It's my great honor to be here and receive this award, and I want to say thank Penn State Alumni Association for recognizing my studies in such an incredible way. So my research looks at a very specific landscape construction called green stormwater infrastructure. Maybe you heard or not heard it, but it's fine. So this type of construction uses natural soils, plants, and stones to create, to address stormwater issues, such as mitigating the flash flooding and reducing the stormwater pollution. It is known to have many water-related environmental benefits. It also has many social benefits to be given to our communities, such as adding the aesthetic values to neighborhood, expanding the green spaces to the urban areas, and also provide some educational opportunities to our kids. I believe they are very important to people's quality of life and well-being in urban areas, but we don't know much about whether or not the public or our residents perceive or appreciate those benefits in their daily lives. So that's where I am interested in. So I use social surveys and interviews to ask a simple question to our residents, whether they like or dislike those facilities, or how do they want those to be installed in their neighborhood. So I believe the results of my research can provide some guidance to landscape designers to better promote the quality of life by installing these kind of facilities. My research also highlights the significance of including the communities into the decision-making process as a way of promoting their quality of life and well-being. So that's all about my research. So here I want to take a moment to thank my PhD advisor, Dr. Hong Wu, who is here. I couldn't receive this award without her tremendous help. I also want to thank my PhD committee member, Dr. Stuart Eccles, Daniel Brandt, Rob Childs, and Matt Royer for their invaluable input. finally, I want to again say express my greatest thankfulness to Penn State Alumni Association for awarding me such a great honor. Thank you so much.
Next is Hannah Whitley, Rural Sociology with the dual title in Human Dimensions of Natural Resources and the Environment.
So I was going to try to top the pizza joke, but I think the difference between topologists and rural sociologists is that there's not that many of us, so there's not that many jokes that I can come up with, so I'm sorry about that. But a little bit of background on me. I grew up in a town of 80 people in southwestern Oregon, grew up on a very small beef ranch, and never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would be in Pennsylvania, nevertheless getting a PhD, nevertheless being recognized for the work I did during that PhD. So thank you all so much, particularly to the Penn State Alumni Association for funding this award, to the committee for selecting me to be a part of such a great cohort this year. I just absolutely cannot thank you enough. To the USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture for funding my dissertation, and the College of Agricultural Science Competitive Research Grant for also funding that work. And what I'm going to share with you is hot off the press, currently in the discussion phase writing of my dissertation, so this has not been shared with anybody before. So you are privy to be part of this. First, in terms of dissertation research, it's predicted by 2050 that the number of people who are living in areas under severe water stress will reach more than 40% of the world's population. So this is about 3.6 billion people across the world. And this rising threat of global water scarcity has been narrowed down to being the issue caused by three different things. Number one, the failure of climate change adaptation. Number two, the increase in global population. And number three, this intensified competition among different stakeholder groups. And so as a result of all of these competing demands, rivers and other bodies of water have become increasingly contested settings, right? People want more water for the different reasons. And researchers have argued that collaboration between these different groups is needed to increase resource sustainability. However, knowledge of how to actually do that is very limited, right? How do you get people who hate each other to come into a room and actually come up with a solution? So this is where my research comes in. So my dissertation takes an important step in thinking about how do you build collaborative solutions to these really big climate issues, particularly with water in transboundary settings. So I spent 15 months in a watershed on the border of Oregon and California called the Klamath Basin. Highly recommend you Google it. It's fascinating, interesting stuff that's going on right now that not a lot of people know about. And in addition to studying how power manifests within the governance of water in this watershed, I also looked at how the presence of a regional secessionist movement complicates the potential for engagement processes. So that movement is called the State of Jefferson. I also recommend you look that up. So to collect data, I lived in the Klamath Basin for 15 months. I completed 35 formal interviews, went to 85 public meetings, both irrigation district and of the secessionist movement group. And my preliminary findings are this. So the existing structure for how water is governed in the Klamath Basin combines stakeholders into two different categories. So the first category of folks are endogenous, and the second are exogenous. Endogenous folks are physically at the table. They're involved in making decisions. What they say goes. However, exogenous stakeholders, they're not directly involved in the process, but they do have power over what decisions are ultimately made. So people who have neither of those statuses are excluded from those decision-making processes. And when people are given neither endogenous nor exogenous status, they regularly turn to these conservative, largely misinformed political groups to advocate on their own behalf and get more information. So such actions further divide the community, increase political polarization, and reinforce anti-state ideology, which is shown in what we're seeing in the secessionist movement. So overall, my dissertation's one of the first rural sociology case studies to identify this multi-scalar, interrelated way in which power is affecting water governance, thinking about how can we use these differential outcomes to create more equitable collaboration processes. And then finally, at the practical level, there's a lot of folks in state, federal, international governance organizations who want to know how can we help people work together more productively. And so my research takes an important step in thinking about how do we address the people problem of this era of climate issues. So thank you all so much.
And our final 2023 Alumni Association Dissertation Award recipient is Rui Zu, Materials Science and Engineering.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's my great honor and I'm thrilled to receive this award, and it's an excellent recognition of my graduate research. So my name is Rui Zu. I'm from Professor Venkatraman Gopalan's group in the Department of Material Science and Engineering, same group as Jingyang, who just stand here a few minutes ago. So my research focused on the open software package development for the nonlinear optics. So nonlinear optics is a phenomenon that can change the color of light. Say if you have a red light coming through, you will start to see a blue light coming out, perfect color for Penn State. And this has been widely used in many areas, such as sensing, communication, medical treatment, and so on. So my research aims to revolutionize the theory and further to create a reliable and user-friendly software package that can enable researchers to perform optical analysis with unprecedented accuracy. The package is called SHARP, hoping to provide the sharpest analysis, and when the materials, properties, or light are complex, the analysis is often challenging. So although SHARP comprises thousands of lines of code, it streamlines the analysis, and what it can do is that it's also freely available to researchers across the globe. And that can enable researchers with different background or have background or background that don't work on the optics or material science can access the analysis in a straightforward manner. So unlike manual derivation that people have performed for decades, this can simplify the analysis, and just like trading in your abacus for a supercomputer in the field of nonlinear optics. So finally, I'm grateful for the Penn State Alumni Association for this great award and recognition. It's also my great pleasure to share my research with everyone here. Further, I want to extend my gratitude to my advisor, Professor Venkatraman Gopalan, for his countless support and guidance during my PhD journey, and also the love that I received from my wife, April Lang, during my PhD. Thank you very much.
Please join me in a final round of applause to congratulate these outstanding scholars. Before we conclude our program, there are others who I'd like to recognize whenever we talk about the success of our graduate students. First, our faculty. In graduate education, we use several terms for the role faculty serve, but to me, the most important, and you've heard about it several times tonight, is mentor. Many graduate students come to Penn State because of the reputation of our faculty and their stature as premier researchers in their respective fields. But faculty are also invested in the success of students beyond their own research. They serve as inspiring mentors and role models and frequently develop lifelong relationships. Will you please join me in recognizing all Penn State faculty members who are here tonight? I would also like to thank the rest of the village that supports our graduate programs and students, including college, department, and program administrators, and staff members who often provide not only helpful guidance and support, but in many cases, friendship and community for students who may be far from home. You all have an impactful role during a student's educational journey. This year's alumni honorees and the Alumni Association Dissertation Award recipients, all of whom are at varying stages of their careers, are indeed sources of inspiration to the Penn State community. They embody the ideals that make Penn State one of the world's premier research universities. I wish you all much continued success. Thank you so much for joining us. In closing, I would like to invite a guest at each table to take home the floral centerpieces to enjoy. Good night and enjoy the rest of your evening.
15 minutes. So, one appendix to the event. This is off script. Kathy has no idea I'm doing this. But one of the privileges of being in the provost role is you can stand up to the mic and talk. As many of you know, 30 days from now, we will welcome a new dean of the Graduate College and vice provost for graduate education. For the last 15 months, that incredibly important role has been amazingly well performed by Dean Drager. And she has stepped in, and being interim, I can tell you, is never the easiest task. But she has really done an outstanding job. So anyone who has anything to do with graduate education at Penn State, student, faculty, staff, dean, leadership, truly appreciates the amazing job she's done. So I just want to take this moment to thank her.